guys, what is up? Welcome back to my channel, Glam By Sam. If you're new here, don't forget to click subscribe if you want new beauty videos every Tuesday, Thursday and Sunday. And if you are already a subscriber, then of course, hi, welcome back. So glad you're watching again. So for today's video, I have my eyeshadow palette collection for you guys. I know a lot of you have been wanting to see this because I have quite a bit of eyeshadow palettes. And I did a makeup collection back in February, I think, but my eyeshadow palette collection has changed quite a bit because I go through it often and declutter what I no longer use because I want to keep palettes in my collection that inspire me and that make me happy, and I want to make sure that I'm using everything. So I already filmed it and it's going to be a little long, so if you want to see my eyeshadow palette collection, then please keep watching. So as you can see, I have a couple of palettes on my Vanity, and I either have them here because I like the way they look or I use them a lot. So I think we should start with these ones first. So these are the 4 palettes I have on my acrylic organizer that I just showed you. So the first one is this Rare Beauty palette, and this is the Discovery eyeshadow palette, and it's called True to Myself, I believe. So this is just a really pretty everyday palette. This is what it looks like, and I have to say I use this one quite a lot. It's nothing like too special of a formula, but it just works really nice and it's easy for everyday looks. And also this is sort of like a duochrome. It like shifts from green to pink, and it's just a really cool shade. I haven't used the middle shade here because it is a pressed glitter, so I don't think I'm going to be using that, but the 6 other shades are really gorgeous, and it's just so easy to create a natural like everyday makeup look with this. So that is the Rare Beauty palette. Then next I have my Colourpop and Malibu Barbie palette. I recently showed this on my channel and I also did a tutorial with this. This is just what it looks like. It's a really pretty palette. These are what all the shades look like, and it's just a really colorful palette, but there's also a lot of like gorgeous everyday shades in here. But I like that this palette has some pops of color in here if I ever want to do a more colorful look, and I just think this is such a perfect summer palette. Also, my camera doesn't have autofocus, which makes it kind of hard to show these, but I am getting a new camera actually for my birthday, so right now I still have to use this one, but the quality will definitely improve. But then I have my 2 Natasha Denona palettes, and this is the first one that I have. This is the Mini Retro palette, and this is just one of her 5-pan palettes. I believe these retail for $25, and these shades are just really pretty. I use this one quite a lot, especially this shade. I think it's really pretty. And then this one is a shade that is so perfect for like in the crease and everything. So this is definitely a palette that I've been getting a lot of use out of. And then the last palette I have right here is my Natasha Denona Love palette. I think I bought this in February because I really wanted this palette, and I saw that it was maybe like getting discontinued. I couldn't find it on some stores, so when I saw that Beautylish still had it, I knew I had to buy this because this is just such a gorgeous color story, and this is actually like my only bigger Natasha Denona palette. Then now I have 5 palettes that were in my pink organizer right here. So the first one here is kind of like hidden between the bigger palettes, but this is the Colourpop and Bambi Little palette. I don't really have a place for this on my Vanity, so I just put it in there, and I was really surprised by this palette actually. If you know me, you know I'm not the biggest fan of warm toned palettes, but I really wanted to buy this one because it has Bambi on here. Like, how cute is this packaging? So that's why I bought it, and I have to say I've been getting more use out of this palette than I originally thought I was going to, because these shades are really gorgeous. And this shade right here, it's called Feline. It's actually a really gorgeous shade on the lid, and this is definitely more of like a special palette. Then another warm tone palette is actually a recent addition to my collection, and this is the Urban Decay Naked Honey. I bought this I think last week or 2 weeks ago, and it was on sale for 27 euros. I had a €5 voucher, so I only ended up paying 22 euros for this palette, which is an amazing price. I've been looking at this palette since it launched, but I just wasn't sure if I was going to get enough use out of this for the price point. How gorgeous is this color story? I didn't really own like more warm toned yellow shades in my collection apart from that Bambi palette, but this color story is definitely still different than the Bambi one, and these are just shades I know I'm going to be getting a lot of use out of because they're just really neutral, and this really allows me to play with some more warm toned eyeshadow looks and see if I can create some fun looks with this. So I'm really happy that I got this palette, and I think it's a really nice addition to my collection. Then I have 3 more palettes here. The next one I have is from Huda Beauty, and this is the Mercury Retrograde palette. I bought this last year and I've been getting a lot of use out of this. As you can see, this is just like a really special color story. I think it looks really cool, and it's definitely something different than like everyday palettes. And even though these shades are like more fun, it's definitely still a nice everyday palette, and I've been wearing this one a lot. So if you're looking for a more special Huda Beauty palette, then I think you will definitely like this one, and the packaging is just really cool too. So next I have my Too Faced Pumpkin Spice palette. I got this as a gift from my boyfriend last year, and I was thinking about whether I wanted to get this because I wasn't sure if it was going to be too similar to the Gingerbread Spice palette that I will show you in a bit, but it's actually still really different, and I've been getting a lot of use out of this palette. I love the Too Faced quality in its like tin packaging, and I just think these shades are really pretty. I have to say some of these shimmers are a little hard to work with. This one right here, the pink one, and then the green one too. But this shade here called Crisp is actually a really nice shimmer. Also, how cute is this packaging? It looks like a little pumpkin pie. And then the last palette here on my vanity is this one from Charlotte Tilbury with this really reflective packaging. I've been talking about this palette a lot in my recent videos. And this is the Pillow Talk Instant Eye palette. This palette is always hard to show with my studio light because it's getting really reflective, but I hope you can see the shades well. I've been wearing this palette a lot. It is a beautiful eyeshadow palette. So those were all the palettes that were on my vanity, and now let's move on to my Alex drawers. So these are all the palettes in my eyeshadow palette drawer that are not from Colourpop. So I'm going to start with these ones first, and then I'll do my Colourpop palettes later. So let's see, where should we start? This is the Too Faced Gingerbread Spice palette. This is the one I was talking about where I thought it might be too similar to the Pumpkin Spice palette, but it's actually not. And this is such a cute palette. As you can see, it's like a gingerbread theme, and it is just such a pretty palette. I use this one a lot. I hit pan on the shade Looky at My Cookie right here. I use that one a lot, and then I also am close to hitting pan on Gingerbread Latte. I'm not using this one as much anymore because it is a little older, but I just think this is a really pretty palette that I'm so glad I picked up. The one I have here is from Anastasia Beverly Hills, and this is the Riviera palette. I just really like this palette, but I don't use it as much. So for some reason when I open it, I think it's because of the blue packaging, I'm just a little overwhelmed by all the colors, but there's actually some really pretty more everyday shades in here. But then these shimmers are really pretty. I just don't use them as much. And then this shade here called Monte Carlo and the Coastline shade and Estate are really pretty too, so I should use this palette a little more actually. Then I have 2 palettes from Sigma Beauty right here. If you saw my recent Sigma Beauty video, you know that I'm now part of their affiliate program, and I was gifted a lovely package including these 2 palettes. So this one is the Sigma Quarter Rosa palette, and this is what it looks like. I haven't used this yet because I was waiting to do a video with this, and I'm not sure when I'm going to do that, but I want to try this out on camera. So gorgeous, and I'm so grateful that I got gifted this palette. Look at all these shades, it just looks so beautiful. And when I was opening this palette, I got a little too excited and I accidentally like put my nail in this shade called High Society. So that's a little sad, but for the rest, this is a gorgeous palette and I really want to play with this. Maybe today. It's a really gorgeous palette now that I'm looking at it. So that was the Quarter Rosa, and then the other palette I got is the Ambiance palette, and I recently did a video on this, which I will now put in the info card right on the screen or in the description box if you're interested in checking out that video. So I tried this palette on camera, and this color story is so pretty. I was so surprised by the quality of this palette, and I just think if you're looking for a nice everyday palette with these sort of tones, then you will definitely love this one. So the next one I have right here is my Kylie Cosmetics and the Grinch. Look how cute this palette is. When this launched, I knew I had to buy this palette because this just screams Christmas, and I really like the color story. I mentioned in the eyeshadow palette tag video that I did that some people didn't like that there were only like 3 or 4 greens in here, but I actually do like that because that makes it very wearable, and I just love my eyeshadow palettes to be wearable. And now that Kylie is actually rebranding, I'm not sure if the formula will actually change, but I'm glad that I have this palette in my collection. And then also from Kylie Cosmetics, I have this one right here, which is the Sipping Pretty palette, and I just keep this in the box but this is what it looks like. I keep this in the box because the glitter like rubs off if it's with my other palettes, and that's a little sad. As you can see, it happened here. But this is a really pretty palette actually, and I feel like this is such an underrated palette. Not many people talk about this, but this palette is so easy to work with, and the shades are really gorgeous too. But now that Kylie is rebranding, I don't think this one is available anymore, so I'm not really going to recommend it because you can't really buy it anymore. Then next I have the Wet n Wild Nautical Nonsense SpongeBob palette, which was limited edition, and this is what it looks like. As you can see, I haven't used this yet, and I'm not gonna lie, I mainly got this for the packaging and the fact that it is SpongeBob, and I really like that they did some design in the shades there. I think that's really cool, so I really want to play with this one actually. But this is from Wet n Wild, and this is a really fun palette. Then I have this one from KKW Beauty, and this is the Classic One eyeshadow palette. This is what it looks like. I've also mentioned this one a couple of times on my channel, and I just think this is such a fun palette, and it's a really pretty everyday one. Like, whenever I don't know what look to do, I usually reach for this one because it's so easy and the look always turns out beautiful. This shimmer right here is really pretty, and this one too. These ones are gorgeous over the lid, and then these ones are really pretty in the crease. I use these ones to deepen the look up a little bit. So every time I use this palette, the look turns out really pretty. But now KKW is actually also rebranding, so I'm not sure like if she will re-release this palette, but this is a really pretty one. Then next I have two more palettes. I'll talk about this one first. This is from Kaleidos, and this is the collab with Angelica, and this is the Club Nebula palette. This is actually one of the more unique palettes in my collection. As you can see from the packaging, it's like a really different design in my collection, and when you open it up, this is what it looks like. And as you can see, the shades are also really different from what I have in my collection. I haven't used this one yet, but I'm planning on using this soon because this is just too pretty not to use. Like, look at these three shimmer shades, and then this one right here. These mattes also look really pretty, but I think I just haven't reached for it yet because it is just so different in my collection, and I should really like step out of my comfort zone a little bit more with eyeshadow and do like more different creative looks. So this palette is unfortunately not available anymore, and this is from Catrice, and this is the little like Daisy palette. I'm not going to go into too much detail about this because you cannot get this anymore, but it is a really cute palette. So these are the little quads that I have. They're in my top Alex drawers with my blushes and bronzers. I don't keep these in my eyeshadow palette drawer because they are like really small. But as you can see, I have 3 Charlotte Tilbury quads, and then I have 1 Colourpop quad. I actually had 2 more of these quads, but I ended up decluttering them because I wasn't using them. And if you know me, you know I just love keeping products in my collection that I'm using. I don't even have a Nintendo Switch, but when I saw this palette, I just thought it was so cute. So when they restocked it, I really wanted to buy this, and as you can probably tell, I've been wearing this one quite a lot. It's a little messy. This shade is a pressed glitter, which I've only swatched because I don't use those on my eye, but these 3 shades are actually really nice everyday shades. So this is the little Animal Crossing quad. I think this was only like $12, so it wasn't like too expensive. And next I have these 3 Charlotte Tilbury ones. I have 2 that are in the box and then 1 is not. I like keeping these in the box because they are so fancy and luxurious. But the first one I have right here is the one in Exagerize, and I've been getting so much use out of this little quad. I truly think this is an amazing little palette, and every time I create a look with this, I love how it turns out. I usually wear this one in the crease, and then I'll pop one of these shimmers on the lid, and sometimes I go over it with the pop shade. As you can see, this one has sort of like hard pan, and this one also a little bit, which is because I use these shades with my fingers. But they still work really nice. And I have 2 more of these. This one is a holiday limited edition, which is Fire Rose, and then this one is one of the regular like quads, which is Walk of No Shame. So this is the holiday packaging from last year, which is the Fire Rose one. I didn't get this when this originally launched, but I really regretted it. So when it came back in stock, I knew I really wanted to pick this up. This is a really pretty quad, and I think this is the one from Charlotte Tilbury I like the most. This is just a really gorgeous burgundy red shade. It's a matte, and then these shimmers are so beautiful. I love this one. It's a gorgeous rose gold. And then this one right here is actually called Super Pop, and this is such a gorgeous shade. I just love this palette so much, and I highly recommend it to everyone that is looking to buy a Charlotte Tilbury quad. If it is still available, I'll make sure to leave it in the description box, but I'm not sure if it is still available available because it was limited edition. And then the other one, the Walk of No Shame quad. This was a gift with purchase. I've been wanting this palette for a while, so I was super happy that it was a gift with purchase because this is a really pretty quad too. So now I want to show you all of my Colourpop palettes I have, except for the ones I already showed you. So these are currently my Colourpop palettes. I actually don't have as many anymore, as you can see. I used to have some more, but I decluttered some because I just wasn't using them. So these are the ones I currently have in my collection, and I really enjoy using these ones. So I'm going to start with the top ones here. This one is Flutter By, and Flutter By is a really pretty mauve toned eyeshadow palette. I also think the design of this palette is really pretty, and this is just a palette I use a lot. These shades are so easy to use, they always turn out beautiful, and this is definitely one of my favorite Colourpop palettes. And I mean, the packaging of this is just so gorgeous. So that is the Flutter By palette. Then next I have this little magnetic palette, which is more of like an empty palette, but it has 2 pressed glitters in here. And like I said, I don't use pressed glitter, but they actually sent me the wrong order ones. So I ended up getting 2 pressed glitters, so I thought I might as well keep them. And I don't know what I'm going to do with them. They're just sitting here in this palette that I never use, but I thought I would show you since this is something in my collection. Then I have these 6 9 pens from Colourpop, and the first one I love is Blush Crush. I've mentioned this so many times on my channel of this being like my favorite Colourpop palette, and I just love this color story. If you know me, you know like I love a pink color story, and also this packaging is so beautiful. I actually got this as a gift from my boyfriend too, and he actually thought he bought a blush because it said Blush Crush, but it was a palette, which I've been wanting this palette for quite a while, so I wasn't complaining. So definitely one of my favorite 9 pens from Colourpop. Then next I have these 2 little Frozen palettes. I just love Disney, so I had to buy these. These are the Anna and Elsa one, and this is what the Elsa one looks like. As you can see, these actually have a mirror, which is really nice, and this color story is so unique. When I first wanted this palette, I wasn't sure if I was going to get use out of this because, I don't know, I just wasn't sure about these shades, but then I got this for my birthday, I believe, and from then I just started using it a lot, and this is a beautiful palette. And the Elsa palette, I actually bought the like Elsa PR set, and I haven't used it yet, but it is just such a pretty palette, and for some reason I just think it is too pretty to use. I just want to keep this in my collection for a long time, but I think I should use it because these shades look so pretty, and I know I just pretty much have to use it because it is sort of like too pretty not to use. Like, that's the problem with like pretty eyeshadow palettes. You just don't want to use them because you don't want them to like expire or go bad. But I mean, if they're just sitting in your collection, there's like no point in just keeping them. So I should really use this one like I used the Elsa one. And then I have 3 more quads left. This is one of the like cardboard packaging ones. So this is Grandeur. I've mentioned this one on my channel quite a lot too. This is definitely more of like a grungy color story, but it's such a pretty palette and I love wearing this. And then the last 2 I have here are Strawberry Shake and Going Coconuts. And Strawberry Shake I actually also got as a gift from my boyfriend, and it's a really pretty like monochromatic pink palette. I don't use this one as much because the colors are so bright, but it is a gorgeous palette. And when I use this palette, I love how the looks turn out. It's just an amazing little palette. And then the other one I use so much too, and that is Going Coconuts. This is an amazing neutral palette. It's not too warm toned, not too cool toned, just really beautiful. And you can probably tell from how it is looking that I use this one quite a lot. The shade Cocoa Crush is so gorgeous. I just highly recommend this quad to everyone who wants a really pretty like neutral palette. And then I can't believe it, but we've made it to the last 2 palettes in my eyeshadow palette collection. These are the bare Morphe palettes that I keep in a different drawer because they don't fit with my other eyeshadows. This is the 35i Icy Fantasy one. I got this as a gift from my boyfriend too. I love how many palettes he buys for me, but this is a really pretty pastel color story. But when I started using this, I found it was a little hard to use. Like, some shades were really like sheer, so I need to play with this some more, but I just think it's a really pretty palette, and I just have a rule that I'm not going to declutter palettes I got from my boyfriend because, I don't know, they're just like so special. But then this one is more of a recent gift also from my boyfriend, and this is the 35S Sweet Oasis palette. This is a beautiful palette for the summertime. I actually did a look with this on my channel. As you can see, I haven't been using this one as much, but I have used it, and it is a really pretty palette. And I think these blue-green shades in here are just really, really special, and I don't really have these in my collection. Okay guys, and this was it for my eyeshadow palette collection. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this and find it interesting to see. I would love to hear in a comment what your favorite eyeshadow palette in your collection is, and also let me know if you want to see a video on any of these palettes that I just showed you. So I did want to say that if you did enjoy this video, then I would absolutely love it if you gave it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you don't want to miss any of my videos. All of these things would help me so much with my channel, and I'd really appreciate it. But with that said, I want to thank you guys all so much for watching. I really hope you have an amazing day, and I really hope to see you on my next video. Bye!